Piece fans, this is Chris Oates, and I'm coming in with a reaction and review of this week's episode, the final episode before we go on that long-awaited hiatus for One Piece, episode 1155, The Promised Horizon, off to the long-awaited Elbaph. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, all that good stuff really helps me out. And this particular episode pretty much just sums up everything that happened. And after the entire incident of Egghead Island, Luffy is currently mourning the loss of Vegapunk, and we see that the other Straw Hats, Jinbei, Zoro, and Frankie are all recalling all the incidents that happened on the island. And Frankie tells it straightforward. They had to confront CP0, the Gorosei, the Navy, the Seraphim, all kinds of stuff that was happening on the island. And it was frustrating, as he says right there, to have to deal with all that. And it's a wonder that they even survived all of that. But the reason they did survive, once again, is because of the robot Emmett. Emmett had pulled off that powerful hockey from the past, courtesy of Joy Boy, and was able to help them escape. We see right here that Kaku and Lucci are boarding the ship. The other CP0 members are wondering where Stussy's at, and Lucci coldly, without even stopping, just says, "We killed her," and he kept on walking. And now we go over here to Saturn, who was sitting in a ship with the vice admirals, and they were talking, and the vice admirals are basically apologizing to Saturn because they thought that they had lost. All that was due to them not being able to properly carry out that buster call. And Saturn is sitting there saying, "No, that's not why. We had to go in there, and this actually was the fault of the robot Emmett." And if you go back 200 years, they actually do go back 200 years to look at this robot. It actually turns out that it was Saturn whose hubris did not destroy this robot in the past. He had told the scientists that at that point in time, "Hey, let's go ahead and keep this robot here. We're going to go ahead and study it and look at it and deal with it." If he had destroyed that robot back then it would not have, he would not have been able to emit that Joy Boy power in the future when in order to help Luffy escape. And if we go back here, back to the present, Saturn is asked a question by Vice Admiral Doberman. Vice Admiral Doberman asked a question of Saturn, "Well, you called this all a blunder. Does that mean that what Vegapunk had said was true?" And Saturn does not like that at all. He hits the Vice Admiral with one of the most powerful Supreme King Haki, knocks him out, and I don't think he eliminated him, but he certainly let him remember it. Hey, don't ask those types of questions or anything. Now we come over here to York. York is just barely coming back around, and she sees all these clouds that are forming, and she realizes, that means that Edison is still alive, or so she thinks. She shoots a really powerful blast at the Punk Records, but it's too late. Punk Records is now floating off into the sky and is being freed away from Egghead Island. And we're going to come back to that here in a little bit as to why that is. Then we go over to the aftermath of what's going on with Marie Joy. Food has run out. It's gotten scarce. They don't have anything to eat. The management, they're pissed off about the management because these are just basically hogs. These people, these Marie Joy, these celestial dragons, they can't care for themselves and they don't take responsibility for anything. It says, "I reluctantly skipped one meal and even a snack yesterday because they don't have any food," and they're blaming everybody. They're blaming the peasants. They're blaming the people that manage the property. They're blaming Akainu. They're blaming the world government. It's not their fault that they can't be taken care of. This right here is probably the most cold scene of everything that's going on right here. You see that there's only 4 of the Gorosei right there. And of course, Gorosei means 5 elders. So apparently there should be a 5th one, right? Well, this is where it all gets very interesting. They see this guy coming in, Sate Figurlin Garling, He's coming in. He's going to become the new godhead of science, and he takes his seat where Saturn should be sitting. All these elders that are looking at him, this Judo, Mars, Mercury, all of them are just looking at him and say, "What are you doing?" He said he takes his seat, and all of them are wondering. They know exactly what's about to happen here, and St. Frigolin Garling is saying it will be an unprecedented period of war and turmoil. That's where we come to the next scene, where Saint Saturn is convulsing. You see the life is being drained out of him, and everyone's looking at him, all these vice admirals. What the hell is happening to this guy? They don't know what's happening, because even the vice admirals, they don't know that Emu exists, and they want to try to see if there's something that they could do for Saint Saturn, but there isn't anything that they can do for the man, because Emu is taking his power away, and it makes sense now. And of course, right here, Saturn is begging for mercy, but he's not going to get any mercy. This line right here, Saturn, why did you let Joy Boy escape? Now, you might be thinking that he's talking about the present, that he's forgetful and everything, but no, Emu remembers. Emu remembers that event 200 years ago. If Saturn had destroyed the robot then, Joy Boy's powers would not have erupted in the present. So that is what Emu is holding Saturn accountable for. Not for letting the Straw Hats escape, not for everything that happened on Egghead Island or anything like that. No, it's for not destroying the robot and getting and eliminating Joy Boy's power in the past. He doesn't forget it or anything, and Saturn just dies a very painful death. Mercy, please. No, you ain't getting no mercy. You never showed any mercy to any of the people that you had to deal with. So this is a just end for you, Saturn. You will not be missed. Although you were a very bad, very good enemy. So, and you saw the blast right there of how it just impacted everything on the ship. And remember I said earlier about Edison surviving? Actually, no, Edison did not survive per se. What instead happened was they all formed a stream of consciousness, and now all the Vegapunks are all still alive within this amalgamated contraption. Edison, Pythagoras, Shaka, and Atlas, they all exist within this new contraption right here. Still does not have the OG Stella Vegapunk. They are disconnected from York, but they are still connected to another Vegapunk that is out in the world, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. We're gonna go forward here. We're coming to Kamabaka Queendom, where the resistance, the revolutionaries, are having a conversation among one another, talking about the impact of what happened during the Void Century, and that the meaning of One Piece is whoever controls these weapons will actually be able to control the world. That's basically the meaning of One Piece, and they're now starting to put all the pieces together. This is the reason why the Celestial Dragons live at the world's highest elevation, red line, and why there has been so much construction of these massive bridges that are going to be named here by what's his name right there? Tequila Wolf, Rum Wolf, Bourbon Wolf. All these are being manufactured by the slaves over the past 700 years because they're trying to contend with the rising waves, the rising oceans, the rising sea levels. They've known this for several hundred years, and they've been trying to outpace it, but it's quickly catching up to them. And this was the secret that Vegapunk had put out there. And Monkey D. Dragon is another one of those people that is not very happy that Vegapunk had spilled all the world's secrets out there, because now it's going to set off a race for whoever can control the stations that are ahead of the sea levels rising. That's going to lead to more conflict and more war. And so you could count Monkey D. Dragon among Shanks and Rayleigh for not agreeing with Vegapunk putting that information out there. But now that it's out there, you got to deal with it. You're gonna have to deal with it. And when we come back, we see that Lilith right here, she's still connected to all the other Vegapunks. She finds out the plan of what happened. She mourns for just a little bit. She gets a nice welcome right here by Sanji. Of course, Sanji's always gonna have those googly eyes for any hot woman or anything like that. I wonder if they actually gave him the time of day, who would he choose? Would he choose Nami, or would he choose Lilith, or would he choose Nico Robin? I mean, Nico Robin is basically a cougar among all these women and all that. So maybe Sanji be like, yeah, you know what? He probably will not choose either one. That's how much of a man he is. But she finally figures out that all the other Vegapunks are stored. They're still alive, and they inform, they being Chopper and Nami and Sanji, informed Lilith that they were not able to save the other Vegapunks besides her. They tell her that Atlas was the one that knocked her out to get her out of the way. But Lilith, she mourned for just a minute, but then she said, I'm hungry, I need to go eat something. And she sees Luffy up here all depressed because Luffy was not able to keep his promise to Vegapunk to save him, get him off the island. But that's where Lilith tells him, you know what, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that because all the Vegapunks are still alive and you did do your job. You see all these come on up, and you see Luffy's face right there. It says, yes. So I actually did meet my challenge. So Lilith says, don't be sad. You actually did what you needed to do. And after that, Luffy says it's time to go ahead and have that banquet. So everybody starts jumping off on the ship. The giants, the Straw Hat crew, they are all getting ready to have their banquet, have a really nice feast. And with that, it's on their way to Elbaph. We see this last touching moment from Bonnie to her father. And you see that she's running to her father who is technically dead, but was able to go ahead and see that she did actually meet her goal. But we see right here, Bonnie reaching out to her father. Next time we meet, let's be out on the sea, watching the horizon together. And with that, the end of this current season of One Piece, this arc is completely over. You see that Luffy and Usopp are dancing. I'm going to make that the screenshot because that is a perfect shot right there for those two. And that's the episode. And it actually ends with a showing of a mystery character. Now, this guy right here actually happens to be one of the Rogers pirates. I forget his name. Let me go ahead and look up it's this guy right here. Just a little bit of foreshadowing is going to be this guy right here, Scopper Gabon. And so Scopper Gabon apparently is on the island of Elbaph, and he's anxiously awaiting the arrival of the Straw Hats and the other giant pirate crew. So there you have it. The Egghead Island has come to a close, and we are on our way to Elbaph, but not before we actually have that 4-month hiatus. So I'm going to have to start thinking about what I want to go ahead and do during that 4-month hiatus. But that's for me to that's my problem that I have to deal with. Overall, the overall Egghead Island arc from beginning to end was a really great grand adventure. We had world building, we had new characters being introduced, we had action, we had excitement, we had tragedy, all these great storytelling elements that just came together. We had growth of many characters in this arc right here. But for this particular episode, I am going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. It wraps everything up in a nice clean bow and gets us well prepared for the next arc that's going to be coming on April 5th, 2026. So those are my thoughts on the episode. What are your guys' thoughts on this episode and on Egghead Island arc overall? Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments and let me know what you think, and make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Boat signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.